Unplugging your brain, simple habits to reclaim focus and creativity. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our video today. I'm recording this video right after visiting a bustling coffee shop and rushing home to share some heartfelt thoughts with all of you. You know, there are moments in life when, without even realizing it, we cause harm to ourselves. We might not think our seemingly innocent actions are serious, but trust me, they often are. There are things we do that inadvertently make us lazy, less focused, less creative, and ultimately, drain our willpower. It's like our very drive for life gets slowly, imperceptibly diminished. In essence, we're slowly destroying our own brains, and the kicker is, we're doing it through these unconscious, seemingly harmless habits. The danger of the unconscious is that we don't actively realize it's happening, making it incredibly hard to change or fix. This unconscious destruction of our brain and willpower is precisely what we'll be diving into today. To make it easier for you to follow along, I'll divide our discussion into two main parts. First, we'll explore the causes and harmful effects of these everyday habits that are silently eroding our minds, our brains, and our willpower. Then, in the second part, I'll share 7 practical solutions to help you overcome this damage. I truly hope this video will be beneficial for you. Let's get right into it. So, what exactly are the root causes of this unconscious self-sabotage of our brains, both literally and figuratively? And how can seemingly minor habits lead to such a decline in our willpower and determination? We need to identify them and address them head-on. The culprit, my friends, can be summed up in 4 simple words: refusing to use your brain. When you first hear refusing to use your brain, it might sound normal, even insignificant. But bear with me, and I'll show you the full spectrum of its consequences, from the smallest effects to the most profound. You'll start to connect many of life's failures to these 4 words. Refusing to use your brain is a key phrase that each of us needs to understand, remember, and actively combat. The principle is incredibly simple: when we refuse to use our brains, when we engage in less critical thinking, our brains inevitably become weaker. It's an undeniable truth. Our brains, both literally and figuratively, diminish over time. We all yearn for a peaceful, uneventful life, don't we? A life with fewer challenging problems, fewer headaches. We all hope for that. But that very desire, that very inclination, is incredibly detrimental. Because if you don't consistently use your mind, if you don't regularly challenge your brain, if you don't frequently think to find solutions to your life's problems, then your life will undoubtedly suffer from numerous negative consequences. These include the harmful effects I mentioned at the beginning: we become lazy, we become less focused, we become less creative, and our willpower wanes. These are just some of the ramifications. Let me ask you something deeper now. Perhaps you haven't fully connected with yourself yet. So, I'll ask you a direct question: how many of you struggle to think of solutions for your own life, and instead, you tend to listen to others when making big decisions? This could be choosing a school, a career, a life partner, or even just deciding what activities to pursue. Often, not always, but often, these choices are simply imitations of others. We listen to this person, follow that person's advice, or copy someone else's standards, rarely making a truly independent choice for ourselves. This is a very real reality in our lives. And what's the result? Many of us end up feeling lost in a labyrinth, a maze filled with sighs of regret. I think I chose the wrong career, the wrong job, the wrong passion, everything feels wrong. This is the bitter consequence of the habit of refusing to engage our minds, of refusing to think critically. I've seen people make major life decisions by simply observing what others do, and it sends shivers down my spine. Often, they don't truly think, and when you don't think, sooner or later, it leads to regret. When we don't put thought into our decisions, there's a high probability of choosing incorrectly, and that pain can be immense. It all stems from this habit of refusing to use our brains. Don't worry, I'll be sharing 7 solutions shortly, so rest assured, we'll get to the solutions. But first, we need to delve deep into the causes and effects, because without a clear understanding of the harm, we won't have enough motivation to change. Let me ask you another question. How many of you give up incredibly easily? How many of you throw in the towel after the very first setback? I see so many aspiring entrepreneurs, full of fire and passion at the beginning. But after just a week or two, they encounter their first failures. Perhaps they can't sell their products, their online posts get no engagement, or their new shop application gets rejected. These are common hurdles, yet so many give up right away. The resistance within their minds, within their thinking, is incredibly low. This is another direct consequence of refusing to use your brain. We possess a fragile mindset, so easily defeated even by the most basic challenges. It's truly disheartening. The consequences of this seemingly harmless habit, which we're discussing today, are this serious. Many people engage in hobbies like gardening or keeping fish. Even in these seemingly simple pastimes, you can tell a lot about a person. Someone might buy a fish, and it dies after a few days. Instead of engaging their brain to find ways to keep it alive longer, to help it thrive, they just give up, saying, "I guess I don't have a knack for it." They give up too easily. In life, if you give up so easily, especially in your career, because any significant success involves countless challenges, if you fall at the first hurdle, how do you expect to succeed? If you still possess this tendency to give up too easily, I'm telling you honestly, you have no chance of success. None at all. Do you see how incredibly detrimental this is? And that's not all, there are more negative effects. Let me ask you one more question, just one more, I promise. I don't want to overwhelm you and make you feel like life is already too disheartening. My final question. How many of you generally can't focus for more than 10 minutes? When you try to concentrate on something, after about 5 or 7 minutes, your mind starts to wander. You feel bored, your brain just can't seem to focus. You can't immerse yourself deeply in your work. You constantly get distracted. Your ability to concentrate is extremely poor. And this ability to focus is directly linked to the quality of your work and the quality of your learning. Poor focus leads to subpar work and shoddy learning outcomes. Deep focus, on the other hand, leads to higher quality results, especially in creative endeavors. Many of us simply lack this ability to focus. This is another consequence of that unconscious habit we engage in daily, refusing to use our brains. We prefer to live a mentally easy life, avoiding difficult challenges. We become overly passive, overly reactive, overly sluggish with our own minds. I truly hope that each of us can develop a perspective, a realization. It's time to put an end to this situation. It's time to stop letting our brains be so weak. We need to do something to make them better. Because, honestly, if this situation continues, our lives will just fall apart. We won't be able to achieve anything meaningful. Don't you agree? Have you ever imagined what your life would be like if your current situation continued for another 10 years? Do you have any courage, any glimmer of hope, to change your life, or will things just get worse and worse? That's why, in this first part, I hope you've clearly identified the culprit behind the destruction of your brain and willpower, those 4 words, refusing to use your brain. And I hope you've also clearly seen its harmful effects. In reality, I could list its harms until tomorrow, but I've only chosen the effects that are easiest to feel, easiest to see, and easiest for you to connect with. I hope you see that this is truly something we need to pay attention to. Now, let's move on to the second part, where I'll share 7 ways we can overcome, correct, limit, and deal with this insidious habit. Welcome back, everyone. We're now in the second part of our discussion, the part 1 imagine many of you have been waiting for, the solutions. And I won't just offer one solution, I'll share 7, hoping this acts like a buffet where you can freely choose what you like. You don't necessarily have to do all 7, sometimes, just doing one, doing it correctly, consistently, and thoroughly, is more than enough. This second part is filled with my personal experiences, observations, and learnings. I'm so eager to share, so let's jump right into the first solution in this, part 2.1, if you will. Hello, everyone. This is our first solution to effectively deal with that insidious habit that silently harms our minds and brains every single day, refusing to use our brains. So, what's the first solution? The first solution is, if possible, limit your consumption of short videos as much as you can. I'm talking about the videos you find on TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Watch, or YouTube Shorts. These are huge culprits that have caused many people to lose their ability to ask questions, making us incredibly passive. Why? It's not just about the time you spend watching these short videos, which adds up incredibly fast because it's a continuous stream of one short video after another. The most dangerous aspect is that you don't choose the videos you watch. At most, you might choose a few at the beginning, but most of the short videos you watch are simply suggestions. You finish one, and another is suggested, another is suggested. This puts you in an ultra-passive mode. You have virtually no willpower over what you're watching. They show you something, and you watch it. You might linger longer on things that interest you, and quickly swipe past those that don't, but your brain has almost no control. You put your life into a very strange state. You might spend many hours a day in a completely passive consumption mode. Whatever they show you, you watch. Whatever they show you, you watch. Over a long period, this will turn you into a deeply passive individual, and your mind will stop thinking. Truly, when you're in that state, passively consuming, where's the time for critical thinking? The videos are so short, you haven't even finished processing one before another arrives. It's a continuous stream, leaving no time for reflection. This passivity, I'm telling you, is exhausting and seriously harmful. And that's not all. Short videos also severely diminish your concentration and your patience. Why? Because you get used to watching videos that are only a few seconds long. This completely erodes your patience. And what's the consequence of that lack of patience? You carry that attitude into your work and studies. You sit down for 2 minutes and start fidgeting, unable to focus. Isn't that true? So please, limit it. If you're already addicted, I'm not asking you to quit 100%, but please, try to reduce it. For me, personally, I rarely use Facebook these days, but even the app itself, I've deleted the Watch tab. I don't use it because I clearly see the link between short videos and the destruction of the brain. I see it clearly, and that's why I don't use it. One method I find quite effective for breaking this addiction is using something called willpower and observing your progress. If you see yourself improving, you can sustain it in the long run. This involves using tracking apps. You can Google time tracking apps or app usage tracker. iPhones have this built in, and Android phones have some pre-installed, or you can download them. For example, if you find yourself spending 4 hours on TikTok on January 1st, your goal for the next day is to spend less than 4 hours, say, 3 hours and 50 minutes. Then on January 3rd, you aim for 3 hours and 45 minutes, and so on. You still allow yourself to use it freely, but with the condition that each subsequent day, you reduce your usage from the previous day. This way, you gradually train yourself to reduce your usage, and trust me, one beautiful day, you might stop using it altogether. This method works incredibly well for me. So, that's the first solution, analyzed in detail with a practical method: reduce short video consumption. Hello everyone, this is the second solution out of our 7 for addressing the habit of refusing to use your brain. This solution is to practice a skill I call problem solving by listing. It's quite simple. Whatever you need to do in life, whatever problem you need to solve, dedicate time, effort, and energy to thinking about it. And the easiest way to think about a problem is to list as many answers as possible, as many solutions as possible. I guarantee your brain will become smarter, more resilient, and generate more ideas. You can apply this method to every type of problem in your life. Let me give you a very easy example. Let's say next Monday, you need to deliver a presentation. You can ask yourself, how can I make my presentation truly impactful? You ask yourself this question, and then you try to list as many answers to that question as possible. That's it. It's a fantastic brain exercise, and what's even better, this brain exercise isn't just theoretical, it applies practically to your life. Going back to our example, how to make a truly impressive presentation. First bullet point, do it in an animated style. For example. Just list it. Don't analyze, don't criticize, don't evaluate anything. Just list as many as possible. Your brain just needs to be able to do it. For example, animated style means all the images in your presentation are animated. Or, second bullet point. Create song lyrics to present. How unique. Take a popular song and rewrite its lyrics to incorporate your content, perhaps scientific material. You don't know if it's good or bad, just list it. This is wonderful. Or present in a meme style, using popular, funny images from the internet in your presentation to make it youthful and fresh. Or present as a play, where multiple team members act out a skit related to your content. That's pretty cool, right? Or present in a minimalist style, with only images and a few words, like a TED Talk presentation. See? Just playing around like that, you've already generated so many options. And then, you just sit back and choose the style you like. That's when you start engaging your brain. You force yourself to think, and that makes you smarter. After you've done this exercise repeatedly, there won't be any challenge in your life for which you don't have an answer, from small to large. Your mind will become incredibly powerful, not passive. Let me take another problem. For example, if you live far from your hometown, working or studying in the city, and you go back home occasionally. You can absolutely ask a question to apply this method. What gifts should I buy for my parents to make them emotional when I return home? You ask yourself that question, and then you think continuously about it. List, list, list. This is how you apply it to the small corners of your life. At first, listing might be a bit difficult. But as you do it repeatedly, ideas will flow. A life full of ideas, transforming your mind from weak to incredibly powerful. The second problem is that time doesn't allow me to list them all for you, you'll have to think for yourselves. Remember, ask a question about your problem, and list as many solutions as possible. That's the second way. Hello everyone, this is the third solution, and what is it? This is a very personal experience of mine. When we consume any content, refuse to consume it quickly. Because the faster you consume it, the more passive you become. For example, reading a book by just skimming. The result of such superficial reading is that, yes, you might read fast, but it's incredibly frustrating because you don't grasp the content. Many people watch my videos and then later ask me, I vaguely remember that video about ABC, but I can't remember which clip it was. It's like they waste time watching, but in the end, remember nothing. This makes our brains very inefficient at retaining information. That's why many people study a lot but don't really improve much, because they go too fast. There's no benefit to going too fast, my friends. Knowledge is like brewing wine, or fermenting pickles. Good food needs time. If you rush it, it won't be appealing. Do you understand? So, I suggest that when you consume information and knowledge, take your time. When reading, if you find something interesting, stop and reflect. Close the book, close your eyes, imagine, ponder, integrate your own perspective into it. Enjoy those moments of deep engagement. Don't rush, there's no joy in it. Reading a book is like traveling through a mental world, a world of knowledge, imagining a place you might never have set foot in. It's just like traveling, but traveling in your mind. And I ask you, when you travel, does anyone want to rush through it? No. If you rush, it's a terrible, boring trip with no benefit. Reading books is the same. Watching educational videos is the same. Even watching movies is the same. Slow down and think. If something is good, stop and admire it. If you're listening to an audiobook or watching a YouTube video, if something is good, stop and reflect on it, take notes on it, analyze it, integrate your own life experience into it. And if possible, don't be afraid to reread a book, rewatch a video, or even rewind to a specific part you liked. Only by doing this can you truly become proficient. So, refuse to rush. If you can, choose to be slow. It's better to be slow in the short term, but gain long-term retention. What does that mean? A book might take you a long time to read in the short term, but it will stay in your mind for a very long time. That's much better than the opposite, rushing through it in the short term, only to ask yourself later, did I even read that book? Don't be like that. Alright, the fourth of 7 ways. This fourth one is very simple, ask why. Whenever you encounter something in life, whether it's something negative that impacts your life or something positive that affects you well, and you don't know the answer, try asking why. This is an excellent habit, one that is linked to happiness and success. Because most successes and good things in life are achieved because people could explain and answer the question, why? Only when you can explain why something succeeded or why something failed can you achieve great things and avoid terrible ones. Therefore, it's highly recommended to maintain the habit of asking why. Be very curious, my friends. Being curious about valuable things is incredibly beneficial for our lives. For example, you might accidentally stumble upon a picture of a house online, and you absolutely love it. You should immediately ask, why is this picture so beautiful? Right? From there, you can analyze the photographer's shooting angle, their color grading, the software they used. Keep asking why, and then research. You can research by typing the social media account's name along with a style keyword into Google to find their style. Research by looking at the person's photo and observing the composition, the subjects, the scene to take notes and learn. Research by sifting through all the comments on the post to see if there's any answer to your question about their photo style or color grading. Research by asking directly in the comments or by sending a direct message to the account owner if you can't find the answer after all your research. Or even go to photography forums and ask, I saw this picture from this account, can you tell me about their photography style, color grading, or editing software? Keep asking why and try your best to research. You will know far more than others, and that knowledge is your capital for success. Alright, this is the 5th of the 7 ways. This method is something I use daily, write. And try to write as much as possible. Writing is a very brain-intensive activity. You can't just write whatever comes to your mind without any structure. You need to remember one thing. There must be words in your head first, and then those words can flow onto the page or into your notes. If your mind is just a jumble of words, your writing won't make sense. Therefore, writing is an excellent activity for training your thinking and your brain. I highly encourage everyone to write every day. You can write based on questions you ask yourself. For example, how do I feel today? Just that. And then, write about your mood, recount the events that happened, share your thoughts. Write as much as you can. At first, you might only be able to write a few dozen words. But maintain this habit, and you'll write hundreds of words, then eventually thousands. Trust me, I write every day. You might think what I post on Facebook is a lot, but actually, it's just a small fraction. In many cases, I write just for myself. And I try to write every day because it's a way for me to exercise my brain. A person with a strong mind, a good writer, will know what to put first, what to put last, what to put in the middle. They know how to organize their ideas, and as a result, their communication skills will also improve. I'm not saying I'm an exceptionally brilliant writer, nor do I claim to be an outstanding communicator. But I can affirm to you that I know what to present first and what to present later. I know how to organize ideas. I know how to speak or write something that will engage others. And all of this builds a brain that can be considered stable, not overly passive, not overly sluggish. That's the beauty of writing. Start writing now, my friends. Alright, this is the 6th way. This method further develops the 5th one. If, in the 5th way, I told you to write a lot, now, in the 6th way, I'm telling you that besides writing a lot, speak a lot, and especially, practice the habit of thinking before you speak. And speak more, especially during social gatherings or when you're out for coffee. Talk more. Put your phone away. Practice listening to what others say, and if they share a message, try to think about their message. And try to think of a way to respond to their message. That's thinking. That's engaging your brain. And that's how you develop emotional intelligence and mental flexibility. For example, you meet someone at a coffee shop, and they say, "I'm so exhausted, my friend. With the pandemic, work has been scarce, and money is really tight." That's the message they're sharing with you. Now, put your phone away. Sit there and try to think about their story. Try to empathize and connect with them. And you can even ask yourself, what should I say to share and connect with this person? When you start practicing this kind of thinking, you become an upgraded version of yourself mentally. And as you do it repeatedly, ideas will flow. You'll become a quick thinker, quick to empathize, and people will genuinely like you. See? That's another sign that your brain is functioning well. Going back to the problem, when you hear a complaint like that, you can ask a question. Many people struggle with asking these kinds of questions, but if you practice, it becomes natural. If I were in that situation, I would ask, has this situation been going on for a long time, my friend? When you ask that, the other person will mention a time frame, and you can then ask another follow-up question. Oh, really? It's been tough for a while, huh? Are you thinking of making any changes or looking for a new job? You just keep asking, keep pushing the conversation, to help them. The important thing is to focus and put your phone away. Focus on the conversation. Do you understand? Talking here means communicating verbally, allowing the other person to speak, and allowing yourself to speak. But the crucial thing is to focus completely on this conversation. Don't let yourself get distracted. Gradually, your mind will become incredibly sharp. Trust me on this. Any social gathering, put your phone away. Focus on what the other person is saying. Focus entirely on listening, and make your mind respond with a sentence, even a short one, to empathize with the other person. Keep pushing your mind, keep engaging it, and it will become incredibly good at communication. Finally, my friends, this is the 7th and final way. I've actually shared this method in a previous video, but you know, it's a method that has stayed with me for a very long time, and it's one I truly cherish. So, there's no reason why I shouldn't talk about it again in this video. Please allow me to indulge a little and share it quickly. It's the combo of reading a book and walking while thinking about what you've just read. This is how I train myself. I utilize my walking time to make it more meaningful, and at the same time, it sharpens my mind. The method is very simple. You've just finished reading a section of a book, right? Read for about half an hour. Then, close the book and go for a 30-minute walk. During that 30-minute walk, do one simple thing: think about what you've just read. That's it. You can recall what you've read, you can expand on it, imagine, comment on it. Just 30 minutes. You'll feel like you've grasped much more of the book's content than before. You'll understand beyond the literal text. You'll remember it for a very long time, it will be deeply etched into your mind. And you'll gain a surprisingly deep level of understanding that you could never achieve by just sitting still and reading. Those who have experienced this will understand. For those who haven't, please try it. Be patient and try it. Many interesting things await you. So, there you have it. You've just listened to a truly heartfelt message from me. After recording this, my voice is already hoarse because I recorded it over and over again. You now know the habits that unconsciously destroy your brain, your willpower, and your drive for life. And you also know the 7 chosen methods, structured to be as simple as possible, to help you overcome those mistaken habits. I hope this video has been helpful for you. This video has already been quite long. Thank you so much for your careful attention and for listening along with me. For now, we'll say our usual goodbye, we'll temporarily part ways, and I'll see you again.